Hey gang, how's it going? What's up, traders? Who do we have in the chat? I see Travis. How's it going, man? Who else do we have here? Say hi. I want to see who's trading with us. Hey, Maverick. How's it going? How's everyone's day so far? I'm adding a poll. I've never done this before. This will be fun. How are you on the day? Green, red, or no trades? Hey, Maverick, that's actually not terrible. If you feel beat up today, but you're just slightly red, that's not bad. A small red day is tolerable. That's doable. 3 for 5, that's really good, Travis. Good percentage. So I don't trade Power Hour a ton, but when I do, I like using the current session volume profile, so that's why I have that on. We don't have a ton of volume right now. We're kind of just chopping around in place, but I am in a short right now. It was, I can't say a failed action. It was a rejection from IB high, but it didn't quite come all the way up to the top. It kind of chopped around there a little bit, and then it started to fall. So once it got down below the current session's point of control, that's when I got in the short. And I'm not putting my stop loss all the way up to IB high. I'm actually just putting it here because I don't want to give it that much room, since I do feel like it could get bullish and go up. But also that's where the current session's value area high is. So if it's going to stay within the range for the day and reject from value area high and potentially go down to value area low, that's the idea behind this trade. So small risk on this one. Even if it does hit my stop loss, it'll be $115 loss. Didn't want to put too much into it since it was a low volume, kind of choppy trade. We'll see if we get anything today. If we don't, and we get enough viewers, maybe we'll do a giveaway or something. I don't know. See how much action we get today. I took a lot of trades today, probably more than I should have, honestly. I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is my 6th position that I've taken. Three wins, 2 losses, and then whatever this one is, which kind of looks like it might be a loss. So out of the 5 that are completed, I have, same as you, Travis, 3 wins, 2 losses, 3 out of 5. So if you guys saw in the Discord, I was kind of talking about it. My game plan that I had for today of like if it holds above 800, then it could go up to 900. And like if it drops below 740, it could go lower. The game plan definitely did not play out, but the levels have been on point. This 740 area, I didn't move this. That was pretty much where it bounced and held today. That was pretty cool to see. And then value area high from yesterday's New York session, that has been resistance pretty much all night. That's pretty much right where value or IB high was. Laughed unfit trader here. All are welcome. Everyone's welcome. All right. Starting to kind of grind its way up. Looks like it's coming to stop me out. All the other trades that I took today, out of the 5, I feel like they were all good trades. So it's hard to say I over traded. It wasn't like revenge trading or trying to get my money back or whatever. It's just more trades than I normally take. But I feel like price action was pretty clean today. Like it was reacting off of levels. So that's why I took quite a few. This trade right here I actually think was a really good one. So it got through this high volume node. It reclaimed the 800 level and had reclaimed IB low. So I stayed patient and waited for it to reclaim the initial balance, retest, and then get back above VWAP, which was also back above the 800 level. And that's when I took the trade. So I feel like that was a good one. Felt patient about it. This last one, probably in the category of should not have taken it, possibly over trading. Yeah, I saw Trump has some stuff going on. He's swearing in an ambassador at 4 o'clock and then the proclamation at 4:30. Probably won't be trading at that point. A lot of prop firms are actually closed by then, like trading is stopped by then. Tomorrow, so Wednesday and Thursday, I think those are going to be big days. PPI tomorrow, actually Friday too. The rest of the week is going to be big. So PPI tomorrow, CPI on Thursday, and initial jobless claims. And then on the 12th, which is Friday, right? That's Michigan sentiment. All big stuff. And then we have the interest rate decision next week. Are people, I haven't looked at like all the expectations and stuff recently, but people are still expecting rates to get decreased this month, right? On the 17th. Scalper's dream tomorrow. Yeah, the rest of the week, really. There should be a lot of volatility, that's for sure. Yeah, BM, I wasn't expecting a lot today anyway, just because it was another no news day. And then, yeah, last night's price action was kind of rangy. We definitely had a small range today. I think I measured it earlier. It was like 80 points or something from the top down to the bottom. 131 points. I think I was measuring the initial balance was 75. Yeah. So the entire New York trading range was 130 points. there's days when our 15-minute initial like opening range in 15 minutes is 130 points. That was pretty crazy. Very low volatility today. Yeah, Mad Moxie, I am on late. I wanted to do some trading today, some stream. I got to trade a little bit on my own this morning, but I was taking my husband to the airport, so I couldn't hop on my computer and go live. ES trended better today. I actually didn't even take a look at ES. I heard someone say, I think I saw a chat in Discord somewhere, that gold dumped too. Yeah, that was nice. This was, where's the opening candle? Right about here. Yeah, price action was similar to NQ, where it had that initial drop, but then after that, it was just a nice, clean trend up. I didn't really draw any lines on ES, but if you had found this level as support and you happened to long right here, you could have just held it for the entire day. That would have been nice. Is it going to hold though? I'm not much of a trend line trader, but it kind of looks like it's getting weak. Is that coming down? Maybe. It's not really a clean trend anyway, but it does look like it's starting to slow down a little bit. What about gold? Well, yeah, it finally pulled back a little bit. It's just been pumping to all-time high after all-time high every day. Finally pulling back. Still just chopping around here. So sometimes we start to get a little bit of movement, like 315-ish, 320. But sometimes nothing happens until MOCs come out. If this does stop me out, which kind of, I feel like it might, it's really close. What I would do is wait for it to actually come up to initial balance high and then see if it rejects from there. Because it never quite got all the way up there. It was a couple ticks away. So I feel like there's still room for it to like come up and fully grab those stop losses and then reject. That's what I'd be looking at if we end up taking another trade after this one stops out. While we're waiting, one thing I can do is a lot of times, like right when the market closes or sometime in the afternoon, I adjust my high volume node levels so we could take a look at that. So usually I clear my chart completely over the weekend and make my levels, my high volume node, like support and resistance areas, fresh. And then each day of the week, I go in and I just make adjustments. Like sometimes they just shift by a couple points here and there. But since I pull them from the 1 hour or the 4 hour chart, they don't move a whole lot. So I don't have to start fresh every single day. DK got stopped out a lot today. Did you feel like you had the right idea? Like it stopped you out and then went in the right direction? Maybe you just had your stop losses too tight. That's always pretty frustrating if that's what happened. Like if you had the right trade idea, just mismanagement of the actual trade. That's no fun. I definitely have days like that. One thing that's helped me, and it's improved a lot since I've started to stay on the 5-minute chart. I got off the 1 minute. When I was on the 1 minute chart, I would definitely put my stop losses too close. But zooming out to the 5 minute has helped a lot. And then taking glances at the 15 and the 30 every once in a while too. It's definitely been stuck below this 23,850 level. If it breaks above that, it could be a strong move. So MOCs could pump or dump. I could see it going both ways, honestly. You think it's going to pump up to Asia high? I don't know. It would kind of make sense to, but that would be the third time that it would have been tested, this general area of 900, there, and there. So if it tests it again and it closes somewhere up in this region today, it could continue higher tomorrow. I don't really want to make any predictions for tomorrow though, because I feel like a lot of that would be dependent on news. Because CPI is a pretty big, has a lot of power to move the market. How many contracts would you risk on a 50K account? Good question. So my personal trading, I risk $200 per trade. So on a 50K account, you have 2K in drawdown. So that gives you 10 losses essentially before you blow the account. So for me, that's enough because I have enough of a win rate that 10 losses in a row is not likely if I'm following my rules. But I would say it depends on you and your strategy. If you feel like you have a decent win rate and 10 losses is enough, then $200 is decent. If you're still practicing and your win rate is not that great, then maybe give yourself a little bit more room and risk maybe $100 or $150 per trade. So the number of contracts will change. I just risk a certain amount of dollars. And I use in TradingView, I use this risk management tool, and it tells me right here how many contracts to buy. So in my settings, I make my risk $200 right there. So you can change that to whatever your risk would be. And then it tells me if I'm going to take this trade right here with my stop loss right there, I can take up to 9.5 contracts. So I would round down to 9. So the trade that I'm in right now, I took less. I did 5 because I didn't want to risk as much. But that's how I do it. Like on this trade, I did about 7 contracts. It says 9.7 is what I was able to do. So that's how I do my position sizing, based on a dollar amount, not a number of contracts. Oh, Travis, you're talking about Asia high. Sorry, I have London high up here. I erased my Asia high line just because it had already been passed and dropped back below. It had already chopped around that level. So I felt that like that liquidity had been grabbed and it wasn't as significant anymore. I'm going to throw my session volume profile back on. Still kind of hovering around that point of control. So DK, one thing you can do is change your settings to show the number of ticks on your position and not the dollar amount. So this number right here, instead of it showing that like, oh, you've made $100 and you get excited and close it out just because you're fine with that number, you can change in your settings to make it ticks instead. So that's an idea. That way you can just trade based on price action and not based on a dollar amount. Still haven't seen volume return back to the market yet, so we might be sitting here for a little bit. Let's go ahead and do that. Since we have time, I'm going to take a look at my visible range volume profile and kind of just touch up my levels. So I usually start on the 4 hour and then move down to like the 1 hour to kind of fine tune it a little bit. If you guys are still new to marking up your charts, I did post the link to our Discord in the chat. I share my chart levels each day just to kind of help people out. And they were pretty on point today. So happy to have you guys join us if you want. So this one right here is kind of a smaller one. The reason I'm marking it is you can see I didn't have my next level marked until all the way down at 23,600. And that's from 23,755. So that's like a 150 point range. There's got to be something that causes it to bounce before then. So even though it's not a big one, it could just fall straight through it if it decides to go down. I'll mark it off. We have one right here at previous day low. And then the next big one is, yeah, around 23,600-ish. That one's a pretty wide one. Is a failed auction only when a breaking candle closes back inside IB, or there can be a breakout and retracement? I'm not sure I fully understand your question, but yeah, a failed auction is when a candle like goes outside of the initial balance and then it closes back within the initial balance. And it's technically on the 30-minute chart. So like all of these down here, those were technically failed auctions. Because if you zoom out to the 30-minute chart, initial balance low is this white line right here. Price action went below initial balance low, but the 30-minute candle actually closed back inside the range. So we had 3 failed auctions to the downside today. It was hard to trade these ones though. You definitely could have blown your account if you weren't careful with these ones, because it was pretty bearish for those first 3 failed auctions. If you look at the 5-minute chart, if you tried to long all of this down here, which I got caught shorting and finished red in one of my accounts because of it, this was kind of just a chop zone. It was messing up longs and shorts. But it was definitely hard to trade these failed auctions, even though they technically were. We didn't get the real bounce until this one right here at 10:50 Central Time. But yeah, to answer your question, hopefully that's what you meant. That's what a failed auction is when it breaks outside of the range and then the 30-minute candle closes back within the range. Oh my gosh. It's just going to chop around here. Did that help answer your question, DK? Let me know if you need any more clarity on it. All right, I think that actually stopped me out. No, seriously? It wants to. It's hovering right at value area high. I agree, Bizarre Man. I do think it's going to go down. The reason I'm keeping my stop loss tight is, and I'm okay with it getting stopped out there, I feel like it could come up to initial balance high and then reject. And I don't know how far it's going to break above IB high. So I don't want to give it that much room, because what if it actually breaks out and keeps going? But I'm thinking it could come up, grab some of that liquidity, and then dump. And that is still another 15 to 20 points away. Because we have this wick up here at 23,860. It could still come up to there. So I'd rather just get into a new position. And remove the risk too, in case I'm wrong and it is a breakout to the upside. Because we do have this whole point of control like area that's kind of could be support at this point. So another scenario is it could break out of IB high, come back and test point of control, and then continue up to that London high. So I'm going to be ready for either scenario. All right, coming up towards IB high. Let's see what happens up here. Have I ever tried trading retracement to 25% of the IB range and then short or long based on the breakout direction? Are you talking about, like, for example, if it's up at IB high and then it comes 25% down, I would take a long, assuming that it'll break out? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. I wouldn't do it, me personally, I wouldn't do it just because of an edge full stat, which I think those can be beneficial, but I would do it based on price action and the trend. Like if it's in the scenario that I gave, if it's an uptrending day and price action is really strong to the upside, then I wouldn't think that a rejection from IB high is gonna like go all the way back down to IB low. I would think that it would be maybe a small rejection and come back down just a little bit before continuing higher. So if it was something like that, then yeah. Especially if that 25% retracement was also right at VWAP or point of control, or there was other confluence there, an area that could be support for the continuation or resistance for the continuation to the downside in the opposite example, then yeah, absolutely. But I wouldn't trade it just because Edgeful said that, 62% of the time that happens. I would look at price action more than anything. So we are starting to get a little bit of a rejection from IB high here. Not seeing a ton of selling pressure. So a couple scenarios, we could kind of start scaling into it just because it would be a good risk to reward on the entry. Or we could be more sure about it and wait for sellers to show up. Because this still could be a breakout continuation to the upside. Because this resistance at 850, 860-ish has been tested a lot. So it could break. Definitely not getting much of a rejection, but there's also not a ton of volume right now either. So what are you guys in the chat watching for right now? Do you think this is going to reject from initial balance high and that 860 level is going to continue holding as resistance? Or is it going to finally break out and continue up? What do you guys think? Joey, what's going on? What's it going to be, Joey? Is this thing going to reject and we're going to get a failed auction, or is this going to continue higher? I kind of feel like it established this area of support where point of control is. I wonder if it's going to hold. Yep, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is going to be crazy. You picked a good day for your 24-hour stream. When you were picking it last week, I think you were just looking at your calendar based on what you had going on with your family and your kids and stuff. But I don't think you looked at news. You picked a good day based on having volatility and stuff to trade. Yeah. Old Cracker Barrel, you're in a long. I'd like to get a little bit of a pullback, but I'm kind of just playing around thinking in my head about risk to reward. We could definitely take a small position and then target London high, which is also previous day high. The risk to reward on that's not great though, so I'd love to see it maybe pull back to point of control. I'd consider a long if it came back there. I'm close. 20 more. Go tell your friends. So, you guys, I said this a couple weeks ago. I was talking on my stream about how we're getting close to 1,000 subscribers. And at the end of September is right about my 1-year mark being a trader. I started with my first prop firm at the end of September in 2024. So if I hit 1,000 subscribers, which I probably will, I only need 20 more. By the time I hit my 1-year anniversary, we're going to have a big party. I'm going to go hit up all the prop firms and say, give me accounts. I want to do some giveaways. That'd be fun. Duck races galore. All right, so we are getting a rejection from IB High. I'm going to see if we do get a pullback down to this point of control level around 23,840. If we do, and it starts to bounce or show that it's going to hold, we can take a long. We only have about 30 minutes left, though, so let's see if something happens. I'm not a big fan of trading during MOCs. I feel like it's kind of just a gamble, like I'm playing roulette. Like, are we going to put it on black or red? Because nobody knows. So if I'm already in a position and I can move my stop loss to break even, then I'm okay with staying in the position, but I don't want to be like entering at that time. Unless it's a challenge account or something that I don't really care about, but that's not usually the case. TT, hello, how's it going? I feel like even though there wasn't a big range today, I just measured it, it was like 130 points for the whole day. Price action has moved pretty well. Like, there's been decent volatility. Definitely some good trade opportunities. It's not like it was super choppy. Hopefully you guys did all right today. I know some of you had down days. Looking at the poll, 62% of you are green. That's good. Is it gonna give me that pullback? I don't know. I didn't want to chase the trade when I was kind of just seeing what the risk to reward would be like earlier. I was like, well, I could just take a really small position and take it here. I wonder if it's just going to run without me. I was hoping it would pull back. Might just have to end with a small red day on these ones. That's one thing that I'm finally getting better at. I don't know if any of you guys struggled with finishing with small red days and just being able to walk away. It's still something that I have to fight the urge to do, but I just feel like I want to fix it. Like if I could just take one more trade, I can get it back. And then, of course, the spiral starts. So it's something that I've finally gotten better at. It's not easy, though. I think one thing that has helped, because you always hear mentors talk about like zooming out, like as long as your months are profitable, then you're good, or as long as your weeks are profitable, then you're good, or even a red week, honestly, is not the end of the world. Like just zoom out and look at the month. I think one thing that's helped me be able to be okay with small red days is I've been able to stack together several weeks and months recently. Like I'm starting to find my groove and get more consistent. And I can look back and see like, okay, out of this last month, I had 8 red days, but I still made a lot of money. So it's kind of nice to be able to see that. I think it was 6 red days last month. Maybe it wasn't 8, but still being able to look back and see like, oh, red days are not that bad. There's always another trade. Absolutely. And there's always another day, too. I think that's the key to walking away with a small red day. It's like, it's not a big deal. I lost a couple $100 today. There's always tomorrow, and maybe tomorrow will be better. There's always another trade. The market doesn't care how I feel. What? It doesn't care that I want to make money? All right, so we are getting this rejection from IB high. I'm kind of watching for a long, but I'm not going to immediately long it. I want to make sure it comes down to this support level at point of control and that it actually like starts to bounce. So I'm going to be patient and wait for a reaction. Because this also could be a failed auction where it rejects the initial balance. So I want to be careful with that. Looking at the higher time frame, price hasn't really gone past this 900 level. It's been stuck. Be interesting to see what happens tomorrow with the news. It's a pretty big level. All right, come on down to 840. Let's see if it bounces. The risk to reward on that would be decent because we wouldn't have to bring our stop loss very low. We could keep it pretty tight if it comes all the way down there. Who's the ambassador that's visiting? Or like, what's the meeting with Trump and all that? Do you know what? Does anyone know what's going on? I haven't really looked. I just see it on Financial Juice that something's going on in 20 minutes. So we're pretty much down to that point of control. Now it's just a matter of, are we going to hold here or is it going to continue lower? Because this is a pretty clean rejection from IB high. So the only reason I would take a long is if this holds this big support that was kind of created with the recent chop. Doesn't look like it yet. There's no bouncing yet. Man, I guess we should have taken the rejection from IB high. All right, I'm entering a short since we got below point of control. Small position since I'm about 20 points away from the high now at this point. But we do have lots of room to the downside potentially. Depending on where it comes to. We have VWAP down here around 812-ish. Or, I mean, if it rejects all the way down to IB low, that would be 782. Let's see where it goes. I don't want to see it bounce back up, so I'm not going to give it much room. Well, now I'm kind of annoyed. It looks like it is bouncing at point of control. MOCs in 4 minutes, you guys. What do you think? Is it going up or down? Maverick thing's down. Value area high is right here. Come on, you gotta go down. If you're gonna go down, do it now. I guess I should give it all the way up to IB high. I just don't want to. I don't like the chop. That's the problem. This is coming up again. Why are you doing that? All right, anyone in the chat who trades with TradeDay? Did you guys watch the announcement yesterday? Yesterday morning? I'm curious what you guys' thoughts are if you watched it. I personally think they were all good, exciting announcements. The consistency rule is getting loosened with further payouts. Like it goes from 20% the first payout to 25% and then 30%. So that's good, loosening those. The max amount for payouts has increased, which is awesome. Like the 50K, for example, it's $1,500 on the first payout and then it increases after that. So that's really cool. The daily loss limit is increasing, which wasn't a big deal for me because I don't want to risk that much on my account anyway. Project X is coming. I've been waiting for that. They've been talking about that since like March. That's been a long time, so I'm excited about that. Lots of good stuff. I like TradeDay Maverick. It's definitely, oh, okay, well that stopped me out. MOCs are going up, I guess. It's definitely a learning curve. or I shouldn't say a learning curve. It's different than Top Step because you have the consistency. But as long as you're not like a home run trader where you make $5,000 in one day and then you lose money the next day, if you're kind of like a steady, consistent, average trader, and I don't mean average, but like you have your bell curve is not very skewed, I guess, then having a consistency rule for me is not a big deal. Yeah, so it's a 3K profit target and you get 1,500, but they're just helping you create a buffer. So 3K profit target, you can get paid up to 1,500. So then you have a buffer and then you trade again and you can take out more the next time. So similar to Top Step where they only allow you to take out a max of 50% of your winnings because they want you to create a buffer. So it's really to protect you. They don't want you to withdraw your entire account and blow it. They're trying to find consistent traders that take out multiple payouts and eventually move to live. Yep, you can copy trade up to 5 accounts. So you can actually have up to 10 accounts, but in terms of like funded accounts that you're taking payouts from, you can have 5. You can copy trade 5, and then you can just have 5 more on backup. Yeah, I guess intuition, that didn't really bother me, going from a $2,100 profit target to a $3,000 profit target, because I was already trying to trade to 3,000 or more anyway, because I wanted to get that max $1,500 payout. And I want to have a buffer so that I can continue to trade after that and not just blow my account. So I would usually trade to like 3,000 to 4,000 at least. That way I had a good solid $1,500 to $2,000 to stay in there and keep trading. Well, I'm a little bit disappointed with myself that I ended up going short on that. If I had just zoomed out and watched, like you guys were sitting here with me that whole time, I had this little red arrow, red dot. I was watching the point of control. I was like, oh, if it comes down here, it could bounce. But it came down below it. So then immediately I switched to, oh, it's a failed auction. It's going lower. I should have just been patient. My original idea was right. Point of control held as support and it continued higher. So that's a little annoying. It was a small position though, so I didn't do anything crazy with it, but still annoying. Hey, Emery, I love TradeDay. Yeah, and if you use code Krista right now, it's 30% off their program and no activation fee. I think it's kind of like Top Step, but better. So it's cheaper. Like the 50K account right now with the discount, it's $115 total, no activation fee. So it's cheaper because with Top Step, that'd be like $200 by the time you did the eval and then paid the activation fee. And you get daily payouts. So it's a 7-day eval, which is not a big deal in my opinion. Like you shouldn't be rushing to get payouts anyway. It's a 7-day eval. As soon as you pass the eval, you get daily payouts. You just have to trade to create a buffer and then you can take out every day after that. It's similar to, if you're familiar with Take Profit Trader, it's similar to that, except that it's end of day drawdown instead of intraday. So much better. Yeah, I've definitely heard of the new Top 1 futures. They're called AF. Ignite AF, kind of a little play on words there. Automatic funded. I have heard of those. I think that's a really good option for people who want a straight to funded account, but they don't want to pay for it. Because straight to fundeds aren't cheap. Like, you need to be a good, consistent, profitable trader to pay, $250 to $300 for a $50K account. That's a pretty hefty fee. I mean, it's a great investment if you're a good trader, because you can pay $300 for an account and take a $1,500 to $2,000 payout. I think it's a really smart idea, a smart investment, but it's still a lot of money. So if you want a straight to funded account, but don't want to pay the fee, it's a decent option. Nice, Emery. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. But I appreciate the support. Thanks. Good job, BM. I was wrong. You were right. Maverick, I don't know if we're going to get a rejection here. So a lot of times with MOCs, whatever direction the pump or the dump starts to happen, a lot of times it'll continue. So I personally wouldn't take a short here, or would not have taken even if I was watching, just because I'm kind of thinking that this move up could continue a little bit more. Intuition, the consistency rule is actually not super confusing. I can explain it really fast right now. The ESS score. Let me see if I can get like a little text box and make it bigger. I'll make the font bigger. All right, so it's a 20% ESS per account. So basically you just do the math backwards to figure it out. So like the profit target for the 50K account is $3,000. So if you want to trade to the $3,000 profit target exactly, what is that? That's $600. So that means that your highest winning day and your lowest losing day combined cannot be more than $600. So they basically want you to just stay level. And then from here, you just figure out what type of trader you are and set your personal daily profit target and your personal daily loss limit in Project X so that it locks you out and you can stay within this ESS. So a couple of combinations could be like a $400 highest winning day and a $200 lowest losing day. So you would set your profit target at 400 and it would lock you out, and your daily loss limit at 200. Or you could do like $500 and $100, which would kind of be hard to do because that's like a 1 to 5 risk to reward. You could do like 350 and 250. So basically, this is just the 50K account example. But the combination between your highest winning day and your lowest losing day, you want it to be a total of $600. And then you just use that same math to figure out, depending on the account that you got, if you got the 150 or whatever. But yeah, I don't think it's super complicated. You just have to do the math ahead of time and like come up with your game plan and set your lockout limits in Project X so it doesn't mess you up. If you just go randomly trade and then expect to hit your 20%, that's going to be hard to do. Well, Maverick, I was wrong. When I talked about how it usually continues in that direction, not today. It definitely rejected up there. Dang. Yeah, intuition, if you have any other questions about it, let me know. They're definitely just kind of looking for the scalpers and the base hit traders. Like, they don't want the people that have huge winning days and huge losing days. It's a little bit more difficult than the consistency rule by itself. ESS is a little bit harder. But that's why the accounts are super cheap. All right, you guys. Got a little pump and then a dump at the end of the market. Well, if you haven't already, hit that like button on your way out, and then hit the subscribe button if you haven't too. I do trade live every day, usually at the New York Open. My schedule is a little bit weird today, so I couldn't trade live at the Open, but I will be tomorrow. I'll be here tomorrow at 9:15 Eastern. And then hop in the Discord too. The link is in the chat. We'd love to have you there. I do share my levels and my game plan for the day. And then just whatever other trades we're taking, what we're watching in the market. I appreciate you guys joining. Take care. Have a good weekend. Or not a good weekend. Have a good night. Bye, guys.